Okay, so ready to roll?
Yeah.
So, like I said this morning, there's quite a bit on the government QCF requirements on this course to do with weight management. And in fact, one of the things that they set is that you actually find someone who wants to lose weight, and you actually sort of have them as a victim, a guinea pig for 3 weeks. You know, and so that should be fairly easy to find somebody who wants, you know, and it's like, but you've also got to bear in mind what everything that we said today about any change is small, and it's like, you know, if they really want to go mad or something, they can do a fad diet, which what you're really about is changing the way someone looks at food. So it should be fairly straightforward, in as much as your aim is to get people to process stuff as much as you can. You know, and it's like in trying to get them back to whole food, because in the end that's the bottom line of several things. They've got a chapter here on fad and different diets, and I think that most of those are covered. Anyway, interestingly, they put the ABO diet, they put as a fad diet, which I don't think that's the blood group, which I thought was interesting. But mind you, they haven't got Ayurveda in there, so it's probably just as well. Now, one of the things that cropped up actually on the telly a few weeks ago, which was actually really interesting, and it really brought home this thing about the difference between losing weight and keeping fit, is they brought up this thing about BMI, you know, body mass index. And apparently, for some reason, a couple of years ago, I think it was 4 years ago, the average body mass index that people were expected to aim for was dropped. The value was dropped. Now, the body mass index is a mathematical equation between your height and your weight. Okay, and I think at the moment for women it's 27 is what you're aiming at. It used to be 29. Right. But of course the trouble is body mass index does not take into account height, quite a bit, doesn't take building into account. And a couple of other factors like ethnicity and a few other things. So although it's often given as the benchmark for whether somebody's construed to be okay, it's actually it's been a bit tinkered with politically, and I'm afraid this is the story of everything to do with nutrition. It's been tinkered with. Oh gosh, you wait till next week. Next time we meet, been tinkered with to suit what they're putting out. Now, you see, if it's been stayed at 29, I could have popped on the scales with my height, and I would be just about okay. Not quite into the. I could have do with losing some weight, but, you know, in other words, don't put on any more. Okay, but when it's put as it is now, I'm considered to be obese. Now, I mean, on many things I am, but I don't consider myself to be obese. And yes, the other thing it doesn't take account of is age as well, because you tend to get heavier a lot of the time when you get older, because of hormone changes, men and women. And so the BMI, body mass index, is maybe not as good a guide as it could be. Now you can get graphs on and percentile charts and what have you. In fact, I used to carry one around in my kinesiology kit, you know, just as a guideline. But it has a suspect.
What was the official reason for dropping it?
They didn't say.
Okay.
Just,
who are the people who drop it?
Well, whoever are doing the statistics.
Okay.
So it's going to be Department of Health or
the Men in Black.
Who are putting the statistics together.
People in a constantly fearful state that they're not quite good enough and they're not right.
Yeah, you know, and it's also how can we control the masses? You know, it's, and basically, it comes back to the fact that obviously there are people walking around who are seriously obese. And in fact, sitting in a city If you sit on a bench in the city and watch the world go by from left and right, it can be quite a scary experience.
Worse, a lot worse in Surrey.
Yeah. And then
Notice the difference down here.
Yeah, when I went to Surrey, we were visiting the grandkids one day. We went, I can't remember, we ended up sitting waiting for somebody for about half an hour in Havant in Hampshire and watched the world go by. And so I thought, God, is it me? So have you noticed how many people are actually not just obese, but actually you could be watching something in America?
And some of them are young kids.
And we're talking about 15, 16, women in their early 20s.
All eating Mars bars and crackers.
You know, and it was like, this is bad now. You know, like you say, not so much down here.
Is it a money thing?
I think to some extent, but then that's not really an excuse. I mean, in as much as, I don't know, because I mean, Ariana and I were brought up in the post-war where there wasn't a lot of money, and actually the food quality actually was probably a little better. The amount of it was definitely missing, and certainly the choice was definitely zilch, and there certainly wasn't things like fruit and apart from that about. But I mean, whether it's because there is so much choice, but you see, I mean, I don't know your parents, but I know my parents, you know, it was hard going, and yet none of us have ended up.
But we also had a big garden, so we used to grow a lot of vegetables.
Oh, we had a big garden, but the only thing we ever grew was rhubarb.
No, we
Mum's
had
Mind you, see, only was rhubarb wine most but you know, it's like it does make you wonder actually what. I think there is. I think it's also been accepted that there is seems to be a belief that ready processed food is cheaper than fresh food, and it's not. But I think the thing is, because they actually tied it into when they stopped doing cookery classes in secondary school, is that when they stopped doing that, you had a whole generation of people who don't know how to even do basics.
But you've also got where the mother is going out to work full time.
Yeah.
That adds to the thing. So you come home from work exhausted. What
The
do you want
last
to
thing you want to do is well, not only that, start cooking, start what's an hour. You know, you've got to be really committed to be able to do that.
But also, I think is standard human psychology. You know, if you tell a kid not to suck its thumb, it'll suck its thumb.
Yeah.
And there's so much pressure in programs that aren't really. How can I put it? They sensationalise, they lecture, but they don't really change people.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of them on Channel 4.
Yeah.
You know, they're sensationalist programs. So therefore, people watch them. But it doesn't generate the real desire for change. It's just more guilt, and then.
I just think, or they think as well, what's the point of me changing? Because I mean, I can't do anything about X, Y, Z. I mean, there was a fantastic advert on sometime last night where there was a program. There was an advert. There was some people blowing up ovens because it was easier to cook ready meals. And you thought that's the opposite of actually what should be being said at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, on the one hand, the government's telling you that you're overweight and you need to eat this amount of veg a day and do loads of exercise, and on the other hand, they're allowing these companies to advertise these evil non-foods that are making everybody fat and unhealthy.
And then you get the innocent smoothie. Sorry, we have got a trade name here, but I can't remember how else to put it. Scenario where something's pushed as one of your 5 a day. And has got something like 18 grams of sugar in it. Yeah.
Fruit sugar, though.
No, sugar.
It's not got added sugar.
Yeah.
I thought it was just only fruit.
No, I don't think it is. But you see, that's the trouble. You see, if you smoothie fruit, you are going to get a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Whereas it's a lot different. You see, like if you're going to eat a raw apple, you're getting the sugar, the pectin, the fibre.
You can taste the acid
and the acidity in it. Whereas if you juice the thing, you know, you're more likely to eat more. You're more likely to eat more of fruit in a juice form than you're going to be able to eat. I mean, one of your 5 a day for fruit is just a handful of berries, you know, or an apple. It's not a juiced sort of 2 apples and a whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I wonder whether you've seen it advertised counts as one of your 5 a day.
Yeah.
there's actually got, in that Nutrition for Dummies, has got the guidelines for 5 a day.
Yeah, it's actually quite a lot.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised.
Yeah. And it's like, but it's like on the other hand, is that, how can, something that looks like a non-food be classed as one of your 5 a day? And I think this is the problem, that people have jumped on the bandwagon of 5 a day.
Yeah. That's all advertising and money making. That's not.
Yeah, but the average man in the street who hasn't got time to do things will look and say, "Oh, well, it says that on the carton, so it must be true."
But that's the trouble when you're dealing with weight management. You're battling against the media and both the misrepresentation and the way that stuff has been manipulated. And it's like sometimes just telling somebody that helps. As far as that's concerned, it actually helps. But yeah, it can be difficult.
The thing is, it's so hard because it's so hard to put yourself in the position of not feeling like that, not knowing that you shouldn't take as a given everything that is said to you by the media. It's hard to imagine that people can
things from an early age.
Yeah.
I think that's your problem. It's like and that
they don't question, do they?
That has to start with children. It's like if you're looking at how you're going to teach children about food, it's like you've got to give them the equipment to be able to do it. It's like you've got a Mars bar and you've got a pile of raspberries.
Yeah.
It's like you ask a kid which one would they rather eat, and most kids are going to say the Mars bar. And you've got to find a way of trying to say why it's actually better to eat the raspberries than it is to nudge the Mars bar.
But I also think at that stage it's the fact that our society equates food with comfort.
Yes. And also, if you've got a stressed society,
they're going to need a lot more comfort and escape too.
Yeah.
Particularly where alcohol
and eating out and eating food that is not whole food, is processed food.
We were talking about this the other day. The kind of mindset where eating bad stuff is your treat.
Yes.
Like it's
naughty but nice.
It's a treat to eat stuff that's really bad for you. That's a completely opposite.
But it's also the fact if you're in need of comfort, right, which is an immediate emotional, I need something now. The part of you that goes, actually, wait till we get home and we'll have a nice banana or an apple or whatever. That's good for us. Loses it. It's too quiet because there's the cake shop over there. It's
a quick fix. It's an immediate fix.
Yeah.
And if you did go to the cake shop, you've got choices within the cake shop.
Yeah.
And it's
everything in moderation too, isn't it? Really, like a cake
that's a nice rational. We're talking about habits. We're talking about needs. We're talking that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I think drives it.
But we've become a society that wants it now. I want the instant fix. So if something, if you've got kids in the car, the mother will want to instantly put it right.
Yeah.
She can't allow the child to get into a temper and then realise they can't get their own way, blah, 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 blah.
I think that's one of the differences
and all that kind of thing.
From what I'm seeing now and when I was a kid, is that parents now use food
to pacify.
It's medication, isn't it, really?
I don't think it went on as much when I was a kid.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's that.
Well, there certainly wasn't the money around when I was really little kid to be pacified with treats all the time.
But I also think that generation
I think you're right,
wasn't brought up in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing about it now, is that food is a pacifier.
Yeah.
And easily available food.
Which is why people get into the habit of snacking.
Yeah.
So, what is it now? It's kids that were brought up in the 80s are having kids now.
Yeah.
Okay, kids that were brought
The
up in the
80s and the 90s. I think the 80s maybe not so bad, because I think there's still some of that left in the 80s.
Yeah,
But I
some
think in the
90s.
90s, if I think in the 90s,
So late 90s,
and I
into
think,
the
I think
90s.
that's when you lose, the plot goes out the window.
And that's
yeah.
where family eating, family values,
And that'll start to
sitting
stop.
together, mother being at home, or all went out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
All of it.
yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
And so I think that, then one of the questions on one of the QCFs is about, looking about how you would reach children with dietary stuff. And I think in the end, if the parents can't do it, it's got to be the schools.
Mm. So what do you think about nowadays, because there was that thing in the news recently in the southwest, that they're bringing out the healthy eating meals for
Yes.
Do you think the food's going to get through?
Well, it's up to 8-year-olds. They're talking about back to school dinners.
Mm.
And I think if it's back to proper school dinners,
Or is
then,
it back to turkey
or is
twisters?
it going to be back to turkey twisters?
A lot of the schools haven't got the space or the
And this
equipment
is
or
what
the kitchens.
this is
Yeah.
what Simon's saying. There isn't the staff, there isn't the kitchens
Yeah,
anymore.
it's going to cost more.
So the thing is, are they then going to buy in stuff that's nuked, that's microwaved
Yeah.
quite nicely,
Yeah.
or it's
Somebody's going to make money out of it.
Seriously,
Somebody's going to bring out.
And
They'll put a contract in.
And I'll tell you something, it was brought to our attention, something we realised when we were staying in London the other weekend. We were staying at Premier Inn, and it was a little restaurant attached to it.
Yeah.
And there was a special deal. If you're staying there, you could buy, you would have 3-course meal for actually quite good, 20 quid I think it was. And there was soup as a starter. And do you know what? That soup was fresh. It was not canned, it was not
Probably
frozen.
cheaper to cook it
And I
than do it
thought there's
themselves.
somebody in there that worked out some time ago that it's actually cheaper
Yeah.
to do proper fresh soup.
Mm.
Now the thing is, what's wrong with soup, a roll and some salad and a bit of fruit for school lunch?
Oh,
Mm.
right.
Now you don't need a kitchen for that,
No.
Need a bit of pot.
and it actually wouldn't cost you very much,
Mm.
but I bet they won't.
No.
But it's like that's all you need for them, because apart from that, if you have a heavy lunch, you're going to get post-lunch snoozes, aren't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I bet they won't. But that's as simple as it could be. If you haven't, we've talked about this, but if you haven't got the kitchen facilities anymore because they weren't there,
Yeah.
is that you could actually do that very simply for a large number of
Jamie
people.
Oliver in America when he was over there, they didn't even have cutlery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't have enough because it was all fast food. They eat it with their fingers.
Yeah.
Mm.
But did you also see, it was on the One Show about a month ago, there was some place in London where the kids go out, because there's only canteen in the school, and it's just fast food, right?
Yeah.
And so it's Claire Rayner's son.
Oh yes,
Oh, Jay Rayner.
Jay Rayner, the
And,
food critic. Yeah.
I think he found somebody who would basically it
Set up a fast food kitchen.
was, it was a fast
type
food
thing.
kitchen
But
selling
healthy.
nutrition,
Yeah.
healthy stuff. So it was like a chicken curry.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
wok type stuff. Where you
Yeah,
do
and it was,
fast.
so
Yes.
they got 6 from the sixth form, plonked him down, and said, "Okay, did you enjoy this?" I said, "It was really good, it's really good." But then there was a question of, well, will they be able to convince their mates
Yeah.
that
Come and try it.
to come and try it, because it's cheaper, but it tastes better, and that was the thing. But he'll be there for a bit, and if it doesn't work, he'll fold, and everybody will go, "Oh, that didn't really work," and then they'll stick to the crap. So I thought you should actually get the government to actually put into those sort of little
Yeah, you do water kitchen.
water
type
kitchen
thing.
type
Yeah.
things.
Well, like they do on film sets.
We can
So
do
it's
it on
amazing what
Master
they
Chef and everything else. You bring in
But
field
it
kitchens.
does make you wonder. They've obviously got an opportunity, because they're now doing school dinners for up to 8, to actually make a lot of difference. They could actually turn the next gen. I think whistling in the wind probably with the current lot, but I think the next generation they could make a difference.
Well, they're looking at hospital food now as well, aren't
And they should be looking at that.
Oh, what annoys me about hospital food is
Disgusting.
it's the person who hasn't got family that can smuggle food in,
I know. Yes.
and they have to sit there because they're old and they haven't got any family, and they've got to eat it.
Yeah.
That's
And their health is meant to improve on this.
yeah,
That's the sad thing about it.
yeah. Because
Cooked, and if it's down here, cooked in Wales and shipped down.
yeah. That's the thing. It was like,
And Timothy
What,
cooking
in the
fresh on the premises.
RD&E?
Yeah. It's not really an excuse because apart from the else, it would be cheaper, even if the fact you've got to employ more people. It's cheaper to cook, to be sensibly choose the right stuff and to cook it on the premises.
Yeah.
James Martin did a thing about it, didn't he?
yeah.
He's actually taking it out across the country. They trialled a couple of hospitals up north
Yeah.
and brought in
Yeah.
local grown produce.
So
Mm.
baked-
Seasonal.
baked
Mm.
potatoes, seasonal.
Now,
Yeah.
if I was to run the country, 100,000, because what I saw happening is that the staff would go into the public canteen and have their food with the public in a silent
Yeah,
area. Right, none of that. They've got to have the same food as the patient. And if the doctors didn't like it, yeah.
Yeah, even back when I had to go into hospital for a couple of days, I had Bex, and Bex is what my Bex is what 79 now, because I hadn't lost enough weight. So I thought something was wrong. As if you're going to put on any weight in hospital, joke. And like you say, at least I had someone to, apart from the one day when there was roast, Johnny had to smuggle Chinese takeaway and chips into me because I was so hungry, and yet I was supposedly in there to put weight on.
Yeah. So with my dad, he was had a heart operation, so he's in there trying to get better, surrounded by other people. There was a Marks and Spencer's just across the road. They put it there. They knew because you could see the friends and the family just going across, come back in, and then if you felt guilty, you'd ask the person in the bed who's got nobody, do you want something? You know, it's
But I mean, why don't they just do like they do in the Far East? You know, your relatives are responsible for feeding you when you're in a hospital. I mean, but then it probably they'd forget or something like that because we don't have that caring, particularly for older people.
A lot of people don't have family.
That's what I mean, we don't have family. But you know, it does make you wonder.
Yeah, but like you were saying about the soup, a nutritious soup and some good bread.
Yeah. And a bit of salad.
And a bit of
Yeah.
salad.
Or fruit, it's fine.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
That's all you need, actually.
It's easier to digest as well.
It's
isn't it?
easier to digest and it
yeah.
actually gives you far more nutrients.
Yeah, because
Then-
you want
then-
vegetarians, you could put beans and lentils and stuff in,
Yeah, but
grains,
the
and
point is you
meat
don't
ones
eat-
you put meat in.
I mean, the worst days you'd have to do 2 soups, 1 veggie, 1.